Hey, Houston Recovery Radio. Welcome, guys. All right, today's a full show. We've got Nikki D over here. Your boy Nikki D. What's up? We got Nick Cruz.
Yeah, what's going on, yo?
Yeah, that's yep.
And Jeremiah Curta. And our guest today is Dr. Sid Kanan. Say hi, Sid.
All right. What's up, Sid? How you doing, man? You doing all right?
We got some spectators in the crowd. I'll give a shout out to my sponsor, Omar Riahi.
Yeah.
And Ashley Locke's hanging out with us today, too.
What up?
Cool.
Got it on lock, baby.
No kidding, right?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So, guys, we're on Facebook Live. I just want to let you know, hey, send in your questions. Chris Chern's here with us. He's our audio guy. He's going to be monitoring those, and we're going to chime in with him throughout the broadcast. So send in your questions.
I just wanted to let everybody know listening, too, that we don't have any kind of script, so we're just kind of winging it and whimming it, and, it's all good, right?
And,
we're good.
Free balling.
Yeah, free balling. Jeremiah's blue balling.
Yeah.
And there's no meetings right now, so we're very sick.
Yeah.
Everybody's sick.
Man.
Speaking
Not
of
COVID, but we're sick.
Yeah, speaking of meetings and COVID, and what was the traffic like coming over here today?
There was nobody.
Nobody.
Somebody on the street.
2 cars on the street.
It looked like the end of the world and shit.
I'm getting bad so I can skate that nice Beltway 8-pit smooth asphalt that they have out there.
And Sid, you being a doctor, you're probably like, I don't want to see shit. I don't want to see shit. I don't want to see shit. Nothing.
I mean, it's the whole industry is just baffled by the situation. You know, lack of PPE, protective equipment, and just the lack of doctors. They're bringing back people that are retired now, and it just they were not prepared for the whole situation. And as the days went by, more and more clubhouses, meetings started shutting down. So everything's like virtual now. It's good, but it's obviously not the same as interacting with people in person. And I don't know how long it's going to keep going. So. But it's good that we have things like this.
No kidding. I was looking at the numbers, and the fatality rates are really low. I think people are overreacting just a little bit, and most of the fatalities are. I think there's a 20% fatality rate for people that are like 65 and older. I think that's really where it's coming in. But we do have a lot of big elderly population in the United States, so I can see how that can overwhelm or tax the healthcare system.
One thing that I'm worried about is, and I've heard, and look, you guys know just as well as I do about social media and about Facebook and about how people put up fake news and shit. There was a recording that I heard last night about, this lady apparently was, from Harris County or something. And, she said that the city of Houston's going to go on lockdown at midnight. And bro, she sounded dead serious.
I'm sure they're dead serious.
But it was fake news, man. They put it on the, Mayor Sylvester Turner, whatever that prick's name is. He said that it was a fake thing, and they're trying to go after him, criminally, press criminal charges and shit.
Be careful of the news sources, you guys. Don't fall into all that shit that you see on people's news feed. There are a lot of crappy news reports and fake news out there just to get you. It's clickbait. Don't fall into it. Go to the CDC website or whatever. Get the numbers. Get the real facts.
Yeah, you can always fact check on Google and things like that. I mean, it's just.
I'm not gonna lie, I got excited. I was like, "Hey, Nikki, hook your boy up with a Nikki baby, hook your boy up, man." Anyway.
All right, Sid. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do for a living, if you don't mind me asking?
So I'm a dentist, and I primarily work with children. I was in Columbus, Ohio last year, and I did a training at the Children's Hospital and at Ohio State University, working with children. So primarily in practice, just seeing kids. Kids come with all different types of issues. Mostly, the issues that we see on a regular basis is kids with a lot of cavities. We call it dental caries. So we're primarily treating these kids to arrest the cavities and also educate these kids on the importance of brushing their teeth every day, twice a day, and just kind of seeing their eating habits, what they're eating, what they're putting inside themselves, and try to make the parents understand why this repetitive cycle is going on. So, I mean, on a regular basis. This is what I do every single day. So.
And Sid, that's directly related to, and this is what I've heard, to other conditions such as like heart disease, and it's connected to your overall health, your dental hygiene, and so yeah. I mean, I thank you for sharing that.
I mean, you can tell these kids all day long, but I mean, to a point, it kind of falls back on the parents, right? I mean, on teaching your kids how to properly brush your teeth, how many times a day, and for how long. Right?
And that's what we deal with on a daily basis, of parents not truly understanding the fatality of what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like on a regular basis, these kids, because it's cheap and convenient, they go for chips and soft drinks and things like that. And it's not necessarily how much of it they're consuming, it's how regularly they're consuming it. So, I mean, that's basically what we have to educate these people about.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of medicine is preventative medicine, is it not? Just educating people on what not to do.
It's better to arrest it rather than to cure it or treat it.
Right.
So yeah.
So big.
There's a question. I'm sorry.
Hey, Chris Turn, guys.
There's a question that was asked. So how do you feel, or do you feel like you have to fight the stigmas of being a professional and being in recovery?
That's really good. Thank you, whoever did it.
Yeah, that was a good question. So, I mean, anonymity. I know it's a spiritual foundation. I keep my anonymity where I need to, but if I feel like it will be beneficial to me or somebody else, I do tell people what I do, and I'm not ashamed of it. It's still a part of me. So I mean, just to get back to the question, what was exact words that they used?
Do you feel like you have to, do you feel like you have had to fight the stigmas of being a professional and being in recovery?
Like what stigma specifically?
I don't know.
I would just assume that of being an addict or alcoholic in recovery, those stigmas. I would think that's what they're talking about. Because there is a stigma around it.
And almost trying to stay, I'm assuming, anonymous as possible because you are a professional.
And you're responsible for the public trust, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
How do you balance that?
I mean, like I exactly said, just being a professional where I need to be, where I'm at work, that's my work and that's what I do. When I'm outside of that, it's my own preference of what I want to do. But the way I can look at it is, I mean, if you're in recovery, you're always trying to progress. You're always trying to become better and be a better person. So, I mean, that's the way I look at it. I mean, it's not a fault, or it's not, the way I can put it is,
An ailment.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a part of, my story. It's a part of what happened to me before. But what's most important I can say is that identifying it, not allowing it to continuously get worse, and working on myself to get better every single day. And, all the things that I learned, in the program, it's helped me in my own profession. It's helped me talking to patients. It's helped me become more empathetic towards other people. And it's also helped me to primary purpose, getting up and remembering that, I have a job and other people trust me. And I need to give them, allow them to give me that trust, but also, showing up every single day on time and staying there as long as I need to be there, and remembering why I'm there and why I'm doing this. So, that's all I got with that.
That's the one thing I have noticed about people that are in long-term recovery, people that have been in recovery for a while is, once you get some sober time and you actually work a 12-step program, that people wind up becoming pretty successful folks, because there is kind of a life plan rolled into it. There is a certain way to live your life, and it will set you up for success for sure.
Right.
So I've seen that's the one thing that's always impressed the shit out of me, going through recovery myself, is seeing some really successful folks, that actually work in a program that become they're that way because they've worked steps.
Right. Well, no, it's applying different principles in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's instead of stealing, killing, and destroying shit, you know what I mean? All of a sudden, I'm trying to practice love and obedience and honesty, and I mean, it's just, if I live this way, I get these things. If I live this way, I get these things. So it's like, I mean, and a worker among workers is what you were talking about. It's crazy how we get back into the workforce and we make everybody look like chumps. Because we start using the same energy that we use to get high, you know what I mean, and fuck people over. And now we're using it to be successful. And it's crazy how that works. I mean, it's awesome.
So Sid, what's your, if you don't mind us asking, what's your drug of choice?
Whiskey.
What was your drug of choice?
Whiskey.
Yeah, me too, man.
What kind of whiskey?
Total algae.
Turkey.
Jameson.
Yeah.
I would have thought it was crack cocaine, but I'm sorry.
They actually, one time I was at a meeting when I was pretty early in, like a month in, and I got sober in Pittsburgh, and that was my home group meeting down in Pittsburgh. It's called Welcome Home, and I actually shared about my experiences with Jameson, and a guy came to me after the meeting. He said, "Hey, try not to mention the alcohol or any brand of thing, because another person went up to him after and he said it triggered him." So ever since that day, I try not to talk specifically about any kind of whiskey or any name. I don't use it at meetings anymore. Also, the other thing we have to realize is in the 12 steps, the first step is the only one that talks about alcohol.
Right.
And you get separated from alcohol after the first step.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. So we have to remember that too. So those are the things I didn't know initially in this whole deal. You know what I mean? When you look at the whole 12 steps, have you ever seen them? It only says alcohol on the first step.
Right.
So can we dive a little deeper? So can you tell your story and how you came to recovery?
So basically, I was in India for a couple of years, for about 5.5 years. And I went in 2009 and I decided to become a dentist. So instead of going the traditional route here, doing an undergrad degree, I had gone to India with the hopes of, becoming a dentist and coming back and practicing here. And 2011, I had met with an accident and my best friend died. And, I was paralyzed. My hand and everything was paralyzed. And that's when the drinking really started drinking a lot, you know what I mean, over the death of my friend. And I couldn't deal with the emotions that come along with that. And, this kept going on. And I thought, I tried all different types of methods, and the book talks about it as well. Geographic cure, switching drinks, trying to only drink alone, trying to drink in just a party. Let me just try it on weekends. I mean, every unimaginable, every type of thing that I could possibly imagine. I've tried that thing and it didn't work. And, I got back here and I thought, after coming to the States, things will change. And they did for a little bit. And then again, the insanity crept up and I just didn't have a solution. And my sobriety date is January 1st, 2018. So
congrats, man.
Awesome,
it's been a little bit.
This guy's my grand sponsor, by the way. It's kind of cool.
Grandpappy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I was in Toronto for that New Year's Eve and I was at a friend's party and, I kind of, I did the normal spiel that we do on New Year's Eve, get smashed and all that. But there was something so different about that day. And I just remember that drinking really, really fast and then kind of just blacking out for about an hour. Then I got up and I was in this bathroom and I broke the, what's it called? The hand washing, the spittoon, whatever. I broke it in half and I got up and I didn't know what was going on. The toilet was flooded up and I'd come outside and there was blood on my shirt. And I went up to my friend and he said, "You want to have another shot?" And I went and had one more shot. And I think that was the first time when I went up to him, I said, "Man, I think I really have a problem." Up to that point, I I couldn't collect everything together and tell anybody. I didn't have the strength to tell anybody. But that night, I told him, I said, "Hey, man, I think I have a problem," and he kind of just laughs it off. And I didn't take it seriously, but I think that was the first time I told somebody else. And I remember I went home around 3:30 that morning, and I got up at about 9, and then I thought I did get on my knees that day. I said, "God, I hope I never drink again." And till this point, I haven't, and I don't know how, because being a daily drinker, and I don't know, and I didn't come to AA until 2 weeks after that. And we have a plan, and God has another plan. So my plan was, I'm going to control it until April 15th, which is my birthday. And I say, I'm going to not drink. I'm going to keep praying every single day until April 15th. And then on April 15th, I'm going to go have a drink for my birthday. And I couldn't last 10 days. I was going insane in my head. And, I constantly was trying to fight it, but I kept thinking about what I promised. I said, I'm going to stay until April 14th and April 15th. And I remember I was studying for a board exam, and I was in the library in Pittsburgh, and I couldn't sit for 5 minutes without my head starting to, we get this wheel starting to go in our head. And what I realized after coming to AA is that's the second step. And I'll tell you guys why that relates to the second step. But I remember I came outside and I called a friend of mine who's not in recovery, and he's not an alcoholic or anything like that. Just a best friend that I had when I was younger, because I didn't have any numbers. I didn't have anybody else to call, and I didn't feel that anybody else would understand me. And I called this guy, and I couldn't even talk. I just started crying. And I remember going back a little bit, talking to Omar about a group that I wanted to start in Midtown. 10 o'clock at night was most of the meetings I used to go to because of the schedule that I had, and that's how I got sober. So I thought that it would be a cool idea to start a meeting in Midtown for people to come out if they need a meeting in the night. And there was a format that I was talking about called the California Mini League, which a lot of people don't know about. But basically, the way they used to do it was like every Wednesday night, they used to have these tickets that they gave to everybody, and they'll have a basket at the front with a bunch of topics and things like that. And if they call on your number, you would come up and pick out a topic, and then you would share about that. So it was kind of just like it was nice because you would hear a lot of different kind of things. And a lot of people will get a chance to go up to the podium in the front and talk about it. So I just thought that would be
a lot of AA groups I've noticed you get little cliques, or the people showing up the same time, you start hearing repetitive stories. That's the only thing, That's my only bitch sometimes.
And I agree with you, Jeremiah and Sid. I think that's great, as far as having that overnight meeting, especially during that time frame. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of professionals, man, that work overnight. They work the night shift. They're constantly, doing things. Especially company owners. You know what I mean? Business owners, and the whole thing with drawing the topic out and having their chance to go up on the podium. I feel like that gets the meeting going, and like what Jeremiah was saying, right? With about different things,
mixes it up.
Yeah, right. And to actually have something to bring to the table, right? There's a certain period of time where when you get the knowledge and you get this, and you start to get free from this illness, right? Because it is an illness, I believe. We start getting things to where hey man, what can I contribute to this meeting? What can I bring to the table? You know what I mean? But still have a humble heart as well, right? Because I didn't get to share, so somebody here is going to get high tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, Nikki, you know what I'm talking about, baby.
If I don't share, somebody's getting
fucked up. Right?
But with that being said, you kind of, with that style of meeting, you kind of get to share almost where you're at with that question. And somebody in that meeting probably already been to it. And God aligned both of y'all at that same meeting at the same time for the same reason, right? I mean, that's a beautiful thing. I've never been to a meeting where I didn't get something out of it. Never.
Right. And, there's been a few meetings where I've gone and I didn't get anything out of it, but I leave and I feel better. I feel better because it's an accomplishment, and I for a prick like me, anything that I can do, that I can say that I went to willingly, voluntarily, something that maybe I didn't want to do. Right. And I go and I come out and on the other side thinking, my God, that was I was really being a pain in the ass this whole time. Did not go to this 1 hour to treat this. It's killing me, bro.
It's growth, right?
Yeah.
The fact that you actually went to the
trying
meeting.
to get me to go to a meeting was like trying to get Satan to go to church, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I've been, I was pretty obstinate towards AA at first, but what I figured out is I've been willing many times. I've had my ass kicked a few times, and I was willing and I would start, but I wouldn't continue with it. So willingness is kind of different than acceptance. So going to an AA meeting it's a physical act of going there, listening to other people to remind myself that I'm a fucking drunk. I need constant. I need little reminders all the time, whether it's working with folks or I work in recovery now. Yeah, wearing freaky socks. Yeah, it's a skydiver thing. You gotta have the weird socks. But Omar's got I wish we could get the camera. Omar's got the weird socks thing. Omar, you are a freak, man. I know you.
He has the best socks.
Yeah, not here.
No sticky socks, please.
I got a collection.
But yeah, I need daily reminders. I need frequent reminders that I'm an alcoholic, because what happens if I go 3 months and I start focusing on other shit, and my brain starts telling me, hey, Specs is looking pretty good over there. Why don't you grab a bottle of wine? And
you're a normal guy. You can do that.
Yeah, you can totally.
You're not going to fuck shit up.
It's a good idea. That's happened to me several times. That happened to me almost 6 months ago.
Brings us back to triggers, right? Yeah. Going back to what you were saying about talking about Jameson, you were talking about earlier about it, that somebody was in Pittsburgh, right? Yeah, up north, and they had said, hey man, I would appreciate it if you don't, I don't know how the conversation went. I know somebody else might have approached you and said, that's a trigger for me, the Jameson, and where you were thinking, the humility that it takes to say, okay, yeah, maybe I was wrong, right? Maybe I should respect whatever it is that this person says, even though I might disagree. Because for me, when I've had people say that to me, I said, look, bro, and it's none of my business, but it's like, a trigger for me is being sober. You know what I mean? That's just it. Just being sober, being alive, breathing for certain periods of time in my life. That was a trigger. Even up to the point to where I had that turning point, right, where I gave it away, and I started to turn and started to give it. The trigger just. I kind of when people bring that up, because I'm like, well, you got to have that psychic change. And again, it's tricky because this illness is so, where I'm going with this is the lives of, children, the grandmas, grandfathers, everybody that this illness touches, you know what I mean? And just how dynamic this illness is and the solution, there's so much gray area. And with the Jameson thing and having that respect and that humility to just not do that, right? Not say that. And you have to conform yourself to those principles and respect that. Now, a guy like me, if I wasn't, doing my deal and I was, spiritually sick, as they say, tell that dude go fuck himself. I'll break a bottle of Jameson over his neck.
What the fuck is
out of here? Bro, what the hell is that, man? You want a handle across the head, bro? Anyway.
He's obviously not spiritually fit, so he's probably,
Exactly. So, but that's how delusional I was, and that's just the delusion that comes with the illness. Going back to alcohol, right? That's step one, and that's it. It's about working on this and getting rid of ourselves.
Right.
Awesome, man. Cool.
So, Sid, something interesting I wanted to bring up. You have an Instagram page with 20,000 followers. Mm-hmm. You've done this kind of thing before. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about that.
So, initially when I started off, I wanted to write a book about the things that happened to me with my hand and how I had to recover from that, but also just the shame I had with having all these stitches and scars on my hand and two of my knuckles. I've been depressed and I couldn't, I was a student then and everybody was telling me that I can't become a dentist and things like that. And then I, obviously, we like to outsmart people and prove people wrong. And the alcohol lubricated my efforts towards becoming a dentist, to be honest. It gave me one of my sponsors. He once told me that liquid courage, gave me liquid courage till it stopped working. But it gave me the courage to figure out that, well, we got two hands and I'm going to do everything with my left hand so I can prove the whole world wrong, which I did.
Speaking of functional, this motherfucker right here will whip your ass on a basketball. I mean, this guy's a baller.
Don't let him fool you.
That hand.
Yeah, so
that guy will 3-point your ass into the dirt.
I learned how to become ambidextrous. I learned how to write with my left hand. And then go back, basketball was one of my passions. It still is. So I was so hurt that I couldn't play like I used to, but I accepted where I was at and started shooting with my left hand, which turned out real good.
Resilience.
But so it started off with that. And after I got to recovery, a lot of things opened up to me, a lot of things I didn't know about myself and other people and the world. And that's how it kind of started. So I've been writing the book and, I've written about 150 pages, but I'm still putting things together and I got approved for publishing. So we're just in the process of, I had sent them a couple of chapters and they liked what they saw. So we're just in the process of putting things together. So that's
awesome.
I'm trying to talk him into becoming a skydiver.
Well, I did it once.
Yeah. He's done it then.
The sky is the limit, right?
The sky is the limit.
The sky doesn't, anyway.
So that's where it's at, and just kind of promoting through other people and just letting people know hey, this is what I'm doing. I usually recently, because of all the things that have been going on, I haven't, but usually on my story I post a lot of things every day about gratitude or any kind of thing. I usually hear in meetings, I'll post something every day so for somebody to see, and surprisingly it helps a lot of people that are not in AA either. It's just like you said, just principles, right. And just a good way to live, man.
Yeah, beyond getting sober, it is a program of self-betterment.
So Jeremiah, are you working a program, Jeremiah?
Of course.
What's your problem then, bro?
I don't know. I'm still figuring that one out. Got him. I started thinking in AA meetings, I'm going to go, hey, I'm an alcoholic. My problem's Jeremiah.
You'd be right.
Yeah, very right. Correct the mundo, baby.
That's true.
So alcohol is right. So going back to alcohol, and what I found, and so for me, I'm an opiate guy, right? I'm a heroin addict, but I also, meth. I did everything, but that was my primary. And so for me, when I did opiates, or I noticed when I first noticed that I was different, right? Was when, opiates, we know that's a downer, right? Opioids for normal people, right? I call them normies, are downers, but for me, man, I'd get up and want to mow the lawn and shit, jump on the trampoline. I'd call mom, ask her how she's doing. High as a fucking kite. I'd go to places where family was around, and they would have no idea. They would say, Nick, you're in a good mood today. You're actually, that's my boy I love so much.
Boy had his jelly beans, dog.
Bro, I'll tell you what, man. And so that and I hear that because alcohol wasn't my thing, but let me I have alcoholism for sure, no doubt about it. Drug addictionism, whatever you want to call it, the isms, I have it, right? And so alcohol for me was a downer, right? And that's what it did to me. I blacked out. But I do hear about what you were saying about alcohol was like drunk courage. It's like liquid balls, right? Yeah. And so with that being said, alcohol for me was a downer, but I hear alcoholics, right, specifically where that's their thing of choice. It was like a stimulant, because I hear about alcoholics all the time staying up for 2 or 3 days and having that psychosis, and a lot of that is because of staying up for multiple days.
Alcohol for me slowed my brain. There's a million fucking thoughts going in and out of my head constantly. It kind of slowed me down a little bit. I got a little relief from myself. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why. Well, I started drinking because I started hanging out in the party crowd. I didn't start drinking until my early 30s. So I was real burnt out with work. I was feeling overwhelmed with family and financial obligations and everything. So I was with some party people. I started drinking, and I was like, that feels better, man. Slow my fucking brain down a little bit. Yeah. Needless to say, 10 years fucking later, I didn't come into AA because I had a bad 2 weeks. Came into AA because I had a bad fucking decade.
Speaking of 2 weeks, I got a bad tooth too. Can I get with you afterwards?
They hate asking for free shit, right?
Come on, man.
Just gonna kick your ass.
I start my new job tomorrow. I got 30 days until I got that badass insurance.
As long as it's an emergency.
Hell yeah. What do I got to do, man? Jeremiah, what's up? Let's go toe to toe, boy. Nick ain't gonna do nothing.
I'll give you a right cross.
I got a request. I wanted Sid to share because he looks like a totally humble, chill dude. You should hear his backstory. I want him to share what he was like, what he is like now.
I knew he was alright.
All right, Sid, what kind of gangster were you?
Crack cocaine, I knew it.
Sorry?
Knew it.
The way he was.
The what?
The way he used to be.
Nick, we're going
right
in
now.
In college?
Yes.
I mean,
Uh-oh.
Come on, let it out.
Streaking.
Well, when I was when I went down there, I didn't really know what to expect, and because I grew up in Toronto, so I grew up in North America, and
Canadians fucking drink too.
Canadian.
Oh my god,
That's fucking awesome, bro. Hockey.
I didn't really know what to expect, and I went down there, and then the first night when I was in the dorm, my roommate and we were sleeping, and then this guy comes and bangs on my door, and I didn't know what was going on, so I went up and I opened the door. I said, "Hey, how can I help you?" And he took my shirt and he dragged me down, the stairs, and we went to this room. There was all these, it was the upper class, seniors and the dental school, and we went through this whole phase of hazing, or ragging. They call it ragging, but hazing in India. And like every night, these guys would make us stand in their room, and they would make us dance and do all these things. And they made us buy us liquor, smokes, all that stuff. And we did that for like 6 months. And I've got beaten up, and I've been through that whole process. And they would always tell me like, hey, it's going to be like this for a little bit. And then when you get to the next year, you can do what you want to do. And I remember this one night, this guy hit me in the face, and I felt so bad. And I went to my room and I started crying. I said, hey, I'm never going to be like this. I'm not going to be like these people and the way they treat others. And I know better than this. And this is just how, the alcohol takes over. And fast forward a couple of years, and I'm a fifth year now. And man, I was running the whole school. We had like
OG Sid, baby.
Right, we had a gang of about 10 people in my class, and we literally ran the whole college.
Thank you, sir. May I please have another?
Right. I mean, we basically did what we wanted, when we wanted, how we wanted, and whatever I wanted. I had a guy that I would call for my breakfast, and if I needed liquor, I would call another guy, and everything would magically appear on the table in 10 or 15 minutes, or I would magically appear in their house in 10 or 15 minutes. Which is kind of how it went. And,
Transportation.
and they just knew, and I was one of those guys that like after 10 o'clock, you would pray that I wouldn't call you. It became that bad, and that's why Omar was shocked, because even when I tell other people, they couldn't believe it.
Right.
After 10 o'clock, if anybody in that vicinity saw my call, they really didn't want to pick it up.
Could you imagine Sid over there? Kiss the rings, bitch.
It was just a different life, man. And I just got I don't know what happened, and like after I got sober too, there was amends I had to make with that, and I did make those amends, and it was surprising. There was different kinds of reactions. One of them, he was shocked. One that I stopped drinking, he was extremely shocked about that. And two, like there was one other guy that didn't really remember, and he didn't really think I needed to make amends. He said, no, it's okay. Like, it was a part of college life and whatever. And there was one that didn't want to talk to me anymore still, and he was deeply hurt by that. And I tried to make him understand that. And today we do talk, but it just, there was a part of me that still, I feel bad that I treated him that way. And that's another thing about, getting in here and doing this deal. You start to realize how much of a tornado you were, and how you affected people without really doing anything, but just your presence affects other people. And those are some of the things that I started to realize after I started to do some of the step work.
Judgment.
I was doing 12-step work with a sponsee yesterday, and I was explaining a living amends to him. You were talking about people that won't accept apologies or can't. Sometimes you just have to walk the talk, walk the walk, and that's your amends.
I mean, the most important amends, I think, is the living amends. One, not drinking or doing anything, any mind altering substance, and be willing to be there when other people need you. Anybody can go up to you can go up to anybody and apologize for what you've done, but that doesn't change anything. It's just an apology.
Yeah, words are pretty fucking meaningless.
Yeah, everybody knows you're sorry. You know what I mean? You're
Sorry,
But yeah, I mean, my sponsor broke it down to me. He's like, "Look, I've wronged you. How do I make it right?"
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not, "I'm sorry." Yeah, fuck it.
And sometimes, there's sometimes you can't make it right at that time,
Right.
which is okay.
Yeah.
But as long as you're willing to do things you're not comfortable doing,
That's right.
that's the best way you can put it. There's certain things you're not going to be comfortable doing, and those are the things you probably should be doing.
Okay, yeah, Chris, I just wanted to let you know, dude, you've done a really good job. Chris Churn helping us out. We had some technical difficulties with Facebook
Shout out
Live.
to Chris.
Yeah, that dude.
Chris.
That dude hooked us up, man. So I appreciate that.
He's over there waiting. He's like, "Get me on this shit, please."
Look at Chris making it right.
Chris is the man, bro. I love Chris to death. I met Chris 2 weeks ago, and he's like a Jeffrey. He's a nice lad that you find down the street in like England or somewhere. But he looks like a guy that we were talking about his heritage or whatever, and he said, "What? You're Polish, right?"
No, Ukrainian.
Oh yeah, my bad. No, I'm Ukrainian. So
Fucking dickhead.
what? Anyway,
Good listener.
all right. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, no problem, guys.
How are we on time, by the way, Chris?
We got about like 8 minutes left.
Okay. Hey, I just wanted to let everybody know, all the SLH residents, all the Sober Living Houston residents, you can use this as your weekly meeting on your meeting sheet. The code word or the meeting topic is going to be Panda. So if you're listening to this, it's Panda. All right. This is an approved meeting for you.
Also, Sid is actually giving free dental advice if y'all want to come on down.
Sid, smile. Let me see those pearly whites.
Yeah, boy. He's knocking you out with his eyes.
Yeah. This is also a meeting for, there's a few other sober livings out there that might be watching. Hey,
it's a meeting for everybody, man.
Nick D's nuts. Whatever you got to put on there. But I'll sign off. I'll endorse it. What about Nick Cruz? Can you endorse that too?
I'm going to be out of town, so you can fuck out of here. Do a Nick D.
He's too cool for school. He just gets to drop in and be a cool guy and then fucking leave.
Hell yeah. He gets to take a leak whenever he wants to.
Yeah, piss on camera.
So before we close out, it's been asked, what is your Instagram so people can follow you?
Ooh.
Oh yeah, my Instagram name.
Plug.
DRSID. Just tell you what it. DRSID. KANNAM, but just my name because I had changed it before.
Dr. Sid Kanan.
Yeah.
KANNAN.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the comments on the Facebook Live for you guys. So, I think he's a cool dude. I like him.
No, I mean So what did you read your shirt? What does that say?
So Satan, today's not your day.
Hell
right.
Yeah.
So there's a store called Addict Salt. So I get a lot of my stuff in this. It's in the mall, and also it's if you look it up on Google, they have really cool shirts and things like a lot of recovery stuff. Like
what's the name of the store?
Addict ATTIC Addict Salt. So,
I'm glad he spelled it out because
Addict Salt. Addict Salt. They have a lot of cool stuff. Like I have a pair of socks. Omar's seen them, and it says this meeting fucking sucks.
That's awesome.
Where's that at today, bro? How can you wear that today, man?
So things like that. They have really good recovery stuff. So.
Yeah, that's cool. That's what's up.
All right. Anything you want to leave folks with? Any ideas? Any
Get a sponsor, work the steps, go to meetings.
Yes.
Like your life depends on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it does.
It does.
walk your talk?
I mean, it's possible to get sober and stay sober. It's a lot easier to stay sober than get sober. You know, it's it's a lot easier to stay. And you know, I sometimes I think about this. I think about you know, what would it be like if I went and drank it, and how will I even find my way back to AA? I don't know how I would have, you know, and I don't like saying the same things a lot of people say in meetings, but I don't really think I can get sober again. I don't know. There's this healthy fear in me that tells me that if I drink, I'm screwed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's a lot more that there's people that rely on me today to stay sober, and the primary purpose, you know, and I don't know, man. Like I always think about that. I always think about like, what I don't act on it, and I don't have the obsession to, but I do think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how would it be, and is it worth it? It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It really isn't worth it.
My boss, James Bates, had a pretty good statement. He said it's like building a structure. Sometimes it takes months to build it, and then it takes like 30 minutes to burn it down.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I do want to say is the one sentence that changed my whole life, and I'll share that experience with you guys because it was so powerful that it kept me sober for a long time. So the first time I met my first sponsor, Gene Ritter, he got sober in 1972. So he's been sober for 48 years now. And when I first initially met him, he did exactly what every good AA person would do in a long, what do they call it? An old timer.
Yeah.
They would do is he never talked about me, but he talked about himself. And he never told me what to do, but he told me what he did. And I'll tell you, when he asked me a simple question, he asked me, why are you here at this meeting? Why are you here in AA? And I said, you know, because I don't know. I can't stop drinking. And he said, and I think I'm an alcoholic because I can't stop drinking. And he said, no, you're not. And my mind is telling me then that, you know, what does this guy know about me that he's telling me why I'm here? You know, what does he know about me? But what I didn't know at that moment was he knew everything about me. I just didn't know about myself yet. And he asked me the question again. He said, so why are you here? And I said, because, Gene, I'm here because I want to stop drinking. And he said, no, you're not. You're here because you want to stop hurting. You want to stop hurting yourself. You want to stop hurting everybody around you. And that's the day when I knew there was something wrong with me. And the problem was a lot deeper and darker than alcohol itself. And, you know, that one sentence that you want to stop hurting yourself and you want to stop hurting everybody around you, that was the truth. And the book tells us we can't differentiate the true and the false. We don't know because our alcoholic life seems like the only normal one.
That's right.
So, I mean, that was a game changer for me. When that conversation I had with him, and that was on the second meeting I went to, and that's when Gene became my first sponsor. And I still talk to Gene now. Unfortunately, I was in Pittsburgh last week and I couldn't meet him because he's 82, and the person he's staying with, they want him to be in isolation, quarantine. So I was saddened by the fact I couldn't see him, but I still keep in touch with him through phone, and it's been a really big support for me through the recovery period. And I want to thank you guys for having me on here.
Yeah, no, we thank you, man. This has been fucking awesome.
So kicking ass, man, and Sid, continue to, man. You know, I mean, every day it's a daily reprieve, right? It says we contingent on our spiritual growth, right, and our actions. You know what I mean? Which we try to make our feet match our mouth. You know what I mean? So
certainly want to have you back.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. Come back. I'll have insurance by then. And
All right. So this leads us. We're about to conclude, but I want to say we're going to have another podcast 9 p.m. Tuesday night. Our guest is going to be Jared Weathers,
sponsored by Budweiser.
Yeah, Jared, you're out there. Crazy. Hey, the guy's got a great story. He was a country and western singer songwriter. He's badass dude. He's my friend. He's going to play a little bit on the show, and he's got a cool story. And he's a homeboy from Fort Worth, so he's from Fort Worth just like me.
And he's been shot before. So.
Yeah, shot in the back of the head. He's
just tell the story, Jeremiah.
Yeah. Tell the whole story.
Why don't we stay
it all away?
Why don't we stay another 15 minutes and just rail on Jeremiah for that? You guys down? Let's just bust his balls. All right, okay. All right. Chris said, "Let's wrap it up." So
All right, guys.
All right.
Peace out.
Yeah.
SLH guys, you can use this as your weekly, one of your daily meetings.
You book boys can use it too.
Holla.
Holla.
Bye bye.